Hello YouTube, this is The Bucket coming at you today with my new production, Colt Python. This gun is a double action, single action revolver made by Colt. This is the stainless steel model, which is what all the new productions are. The originals came in blued as well. Let's go ahead and go over the specs on this particular firearm. So this is going to come in at 9.75 inches in length, due in part to the 4¼ inch barrel. These also come in 3-inch. They also come in 6-inch. The width is 1.55 inches. The height is 5.5 inches. The weight is 42 ounces. Again, this is a new production. New production started in 2020. The original Colt Python started to be produced in 1955, and this was their target series, so that you'd have improved triggers, you'd have improved grips, you'd have the vented above the barrel rib, and then you'd have an underlug here as well. The weight would be a little bit higher to mitigate recoil and to help be some of the best shooting of all of their firearms that they produced. They would have adjustable rear, they'd have adjustable sights for windage and elevation, just making them amazing guns for shooting. These guns were being made from 1955 to 1999 when the company decided that it was no longer profitable for them to make the classic snake gun Python. In 2020, they decided to re-release these I-frame revolvers back out onto the market, and I'm really glad they did. So the Bucket, as you know, is really into auto loaders. I love my AXJ Legion, I love my 2011s, I love my H&K pistols. I'm a big auto loader guy. But I got the bug, the marketing got me, and the Colt Python series was something that really, really excited me. And I started seeing them a lot in the past 8 months to a year, where I started seeing so many different gun shops would have these guns. And they were ranging from around $1,600, $1,700, and I started to see that the prices were coming down. And actually, somebody reached out to me and said, "Did you see that Palmetto State has the Colt Python in a blim?" Which means that from the factory they would have a blemish somewhere on them, and you could get them at a much more reasonable price. Not reasonable, a much lighter on the pocketbook price. So they were going for around $1,100. And I said to myself, well, if you're going to buy, such a high-end revolver, why would you buy a blim? Why wouldn't you want just kind of the highest quality that you could possibly get? And then I got a hold of one of these, and I can see why. This gun is, first of all, gorgeous. I mean, just all the stylings of it just show up. It's really, really nice. It feels great. The weight is just awesome. As far as a revolver goes, it's really well weighted. And then you feel this trigger, and this trigger, again, is just so smooth. There is no stacking whatsoever. It's gorgeous. The single action is just so crisp on that trigger. It is so nice. And when I took it to the range, I could not believe it. I could actually hit where I wanted to hit with this revolver. That double action trigger being right around that 7 to 9.5 pounds, that's what the factory says, and that's what it feels like on mine, is just amazing. Now, I'll be honest with you, a big part of the reason why I'm not a good revolver shooter is because I don't hold the guns right, and I haven't spent the time to actually get enough trigger time to make myself a better revolver shooter. So I did some video watching with Jerry Michalik, and I watched a couple of his tutorial videos on how to hold a revolver and how to shoot one. I liked that he gives you a couple different options, but he does tell you get way up high on that revolver, hold that thumb down, and then with your support hand, go ahead and wrap your second thumb over it, allowing you to mitigate recoil, kind of get those elbows out. And when I did that, I found that I could hold that front post real tight, and it helped me out a lot. So check out a couple of his videos. He goes over a lot of stuff, and of course, he's probably the best revolver shooter in the world, so that definitely helped me. But this double action trigger is amazing. It was so smooth that I ended up continuing to shoot with double action, where usually with me, I'm so bad with revolvers that I end up trying to shoot maybe 6 to 15 rounds in double action. I get frustrated and then I start thumbing that hammer. And since the single action is so much easier to work with, I end up, focusing more on my single action. And with this gun, I felt like, for the first time, I felt like I could actually possibly learn how to shoot a revolver. So for some of you that are sitting there going, is it worth the money? Well, obviously, for a blim, these are around $1,100. Even still, they're about $1,350 to $1,500 for a completely flawless one from the factory. That's a lot. And when you can pick up a $250, $300 revolver, that's a lot of money. But for some of you out there that may have a little bit of extra money, that kind of likes the styling, that wants to be able to say you own a Colt snake gun, and you say to yourself, is it worth the money? Well, I'll show you how I shot, and this is about as good of a grouping that I've ever gotten. Now you'll say to yourself, the bucket, those look a little far to the left, and that did happen. When I came home, I did not notice that actually the adjustable sight, let's see if you can come up here and you see it's drifted way off here to the left. And I noticed that when I got home, and I realized that part of my problem may have been on this adjustable sight. You can see that there is a set screw right here that's a 0.05 hex screw head, that this is actually your set screw. And I noticed when I started to try to adjust it and to be able to show it for the video, that it is real smooth adjusting this screw. And since I did that without having to loosen up the set screw, I'm guessing that this was loose, and that's the reason that after shooting this gun that the sight had kind of drifted over. Now I will keep shooting this revolver because I love this revolver. It is definitely a keeper for the bucket. So I'm going to keep shooting this. I'm going to go ahead and re-zero this gun, make sure that set screws in there good and tight, and then I'll come back with you guys to show you how if this rear sight is going to become a problem. I don't think it's going to. I think this is going to be, is going to work out just fine. But I will come back with you guys a little bit later on after I put, a few hundred more rounds through it. So I am really happy that I got this gun. I think it's really good. Tanfolio did me a solid. I wanted the 3-inch model. He told me, hey, I think you're going to be happier with a 4 1/4, and he was right. 4 1/4 is the way to go for the bucket. I can understand why people would want that ridiculous 6-inch, and that 3-inch is really good looking. But I'm glad that I've got the 4 1/4-inch. I am a historical guy, and those beautiful blued ones from the 1960s are pretty awesome, but I will tell you that this new I-frame revolver from Colt is definitely amazing. They really knocked it out of the park. This trigger is really great, and it made, an auto loader guy really enjoy shooting a revolver, and kind of give him the hope that at some point in time he may actually be able to shoot a revolver a little bit better. So I want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. All the likes, the comments, the shares are really appreciated. And as always, you stay classy, YouTube.
I learned a lesson. Never half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing.